Okay, great. All right, well, we will go ahead and get started. Thank you everybody for joining us today for our fantastic presentation by our own Samantha. Just as a reminder, I'll be monitoring the chat. So if you do have any questions that you would prefer to type in the text box, feel free to post them there and I'll make sure those get answered. And then of course, just another reminder, this session is recorded and will be shared out on our public spaces. So if you do have any questions about that, don't hesitate to let us know. And with that, we'll get started. And Sam, I will turn the show over to you.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. This is a chance for you to find out some different ways to maybe improve your Zoom experience for your students. And so if at any time I'm covering a subject that you have a specific question on, absolutely jump in and ask it, because that's the whole point, is I want to address your specific issues. So let's go ahead and get started here. It's always, there we go. All right. So we're going to be talking about increasing your face value and giving the best presentation that you possibly can. I like to start things off with fun facts. Did you know that wombats are the only animals that their scat, their poo, is actually cubes? It's true that you do that, and they can pass up to 100 cubes every night, and they use them to kind of mark their territory, and the shape helps to keep them from rolling away. Who knew? I know that teaching live and presenting is very differently from when you're working virtually, because all you're looking at is that little green dot in front of you. And I'm going to try and give you some ideas on how to engage your audience without acting like our good friend Crazy Eddie here. Some first things to get started with are location, location, location. Make sure that wherever you are, you have a reasonably quiet area, that your devices are plugged in. I know that my old Mac, I had to keep it plugged in the entire time. Otherwise it would die. It would go immediately to 50% and then 20% and be gone. So obviously you don't want to run into that. And maybe you thought you plugged it in, but you didn't. So go ahead and make sure that you have it plugged in, and a strong, constant, clear Wi-Fi signal. People are willing to forgive a whole lot of things, but when your audio goes janky and your video is janky, then they tune you out. If necessary, ask everyone else in your household to maybe dial it back a little bit. Don't stream any videos while you're on, or hardwire into your Wi-Fi if you have to. Reasonably quiet and distraction free. I have myself found that there's some insulated soundproofing strip. You can get it on Amazon. You can find it in your home improvement stores. And this makes a huge difference for those outside noises that maybe you've gotten used to, but your audience hasn't. So if you've got kids in the other room on virtual learning, or they have their TV on too loud or something, this is going to help muffle that. And it just goes around the outer rim of the door and it muffles sounds, and it works beautifully. The other thing is minimizing your tabs and notifications. On my Mac, I have a do not disturb mode that can go for an hour or till the evening. And I know on Windows computers, it's focus assist. Turn that on so that you aren't constantly getting those pop-ups, because they can ruin the flow of what you were trying to think of. And of course, beware of the weapons of mass distraction. It's all too easy when those alerts start coming in to say, oh, it'll just take a second. Let me check on this. The other thing is to clean up the desktop before your presentation. So if you can dump everything into a file that you maybe had open documents or whatever, that is going to help a great deal. Just in case you end up sharing a screen and you end up sharing your whole screen and not just the portion of it that you want to. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and have a neutral background. I know I love my kids and my pets and everything else, but maybe you just want to have a solid color background, just in case. Now, let's talk about camera levels. This is the kind of case of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You don't want to have too much headroom. You don't want to have too little headroom. And in my case, I know that I tend to talk with my hands, and I'm constantly wanting to shift around. So I try to give myself some space between the camera so that I don't end up coming right in and making you guys feel really uncomfortable. And also, nobody needs to see anyone up here from the nose and the jawline, and nobody needs to be looking at my scalp. So get creative. If you don't have a virtual a desk, a standing desk that you can raise and lower, go ahead and grab some boxes or books, as long as it's sturdy, and raise it up. I know there have been times when I have had to do an audition and I did not have a desk that I could stand at. So I ended up putting my camera on a series of books and boxes, and it looked crazy, but nobody ever saw it. It was the right height for me to stand and be comfortable. And I do want to discuss that for just a second. It does make a difference in your energy level, whether you're standing or sitting. If you're sitting, you tend to, your voice drops, your energy level goes down, no matter how much you would rather that not happen, it does. So go ahead, and even if you're not going to stand for your entire presentation, stand up, maybe move your arms around, do the Superman stance. It brings your energy up, your confidence level up, and you project that through the screen. Now, in the real world, let's talk about Zoom rooms. This is your space. Nobody, well, not most of us, we're not prepared for coming in and doing Zooms all the time, not to this level. And very few of us have dedicated spaces to do these kinds of events. You do not need to have an entire room dedicated to your Zoom. As Seth Meyers pointed out, if you turned your camera a little bit to the left or the right, it might look like an episode of Hoarders, but the point is just what the camera sees is the only part that needs to be clear and distraction free. Now, there's a reason for the distraction free. Not only is it distracting for your listeners if they're trying to figure out what the painting is behind you, or what your cat is doing walking across the shelves, it also can mess up your camera. Your webcam is trying to do the best it can to focus on you. And if you have too many things going on or a reflective surface, it's trying to bring all of that into focus. And like I said, people will forgive a lot of things, but when it gets to be too many distractions, you're just going to lose your audience. Um, you don't need to be a superstar and look phenomenal in order to do a Zoom presentation, but you do probably want to take a second to brush your hair, or maybe get a glass of water or something, just so that you feel better. Unfortunately, we spend entirely too much time in front of these computers, so you might as well look a little bit pulled together. But thankfully, Zoom has a little some tricks up its sleeve, and if you haven't found these little gems in your settings, we're going to talk about those in just a minute. They can be a huge lifesaver. Lighting is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. When students are zooming in from their a corner of their dorm room and they've got all the lights off, or the lovely light up from the bottom that makes us all look like we're part of a horror movie. It's not the best look for anyone. Now, you would think less lighting is better. I know I personally prefer candlelight or firelight. I think I look spectacular. However, it doesn't work that way with webcams. You actually want to have more light. It's going to make you look better. and help the zoom filters that we're going to talk about in a minute work to their best advantage. So you don't want to have so much lighting that you're completely blown out. Again, the whole Goldilocks principle. You just want to have nice, soft lighting. One of those ring lights that you can purchase for maybe $10 are great for filling in light, but you also want to have light from another source. And whether that's a lamp or an open window that I have right here next to me, we're going to talk about how to control window light in just a second. But you do want to have an equal balance of light just so that you look your best. All right, so here are some of the hidden gems that you may or may not know about. And hopefully I'm not sharing anything that you were completely unaware of, or maybe they were just something that you just never had time to delve into. So here are the powerful tools that Zoom hides for you. They're right there in that corner under the little cog. You can get to access it before you log into Zoom. When you pull up the Zoom client, you see this screen and you can just look right there on the little cog. Also on the screen where it says video, start video, stop video, there's the little caret, and that's going to give you a drop down menu, and you have the options to reach video backgrounds and video filters and video settings. And that's what we're going to talk about. So this would be my video settings. Go ahead and set it to original ratio HD if possible. That works the best. Mirroring your video helps make it more natural for us as presenters, because we're the same hand that's moving is the same hand we see moving. However, if you're trying to focus your camera on something behind you, sometimes that'll flip. So you need to keep that in mind. The next things that we have here are, let me see if I can get to annotate. There we go. So here we have touch up my appearance. I love this feature. However, it is a danger. You can crank that dial all the way up, but you end up looking like, a wax mask of yourself. So you want to find the right level of touching up, and all that's going to do is kind of smooth out your complexion and smooth out the harsh shadows and let's face it, the wrinkles, and just make you the best you can be. The next one is adjust for low light. Sometimes I find this works really well, and sometimes it doesn't. So go ahead and play around with that in the space where you will be presenting. You can there's auto and then manual, and then you just move the slider up and down and see which one that you find most appealing. Oh, I think I have to take it off, annotate, so I can change the slides. Am I new here? Okay. I have to remove my annotations. Oh, Samantha. Some of us did not have enough coffee this morning, I have to tell you. There we go. The video backgrounds. They're fun to play with. They can add interest and engage your students. If you were maybe a background that's a Star Wars theme and you want to get them involved in a conversation. In my case, I am using a background that we use in the simulation. So it makes it look like we are in our hotel lobby. But it can also distract. So you need to decide whether your background is going to help push your message across or whether it's going to just be too distracting. My personal favorite is the blur. It is just a general softening of everything behind you. Nobody needs to see anything. It's your little secret how completely messy it is, or what kind of colors that you're rocking in your personal interior decorating scheme. Right next to that, you're going to see video filters. And there are some fun video filters that you can use, like adding your eyebrows and changing colors for mustaches and your lips. Now, I know, guys, that it seems silly to worry about your eyebrows and lips, but if you have ever seen, hold on a second, late night talk show host, Bill Maher. Without his makeup on, the man looks like an albino. You can't even see his eyebrows. You can't, his lips are almost the same color as the rest of his skin. When you see him on his show, he is he's not putting on makeup to the point where he looks like he's 10 years or 20 years younger, but he is enhancing what he has. Zoom will go ahead and do that for you. You can choose the lip color closest to your own lip color. And then again, there's that slider. You can go back and forth. There is some jankiness with this. If you turn your head too quick, sometimes your lips don't move with you. But since you were trying to get people to pay attention to you, you definitely want to focus on your eyes. And if your eyebrows, like mine, are getting a little lighter as we age, adding a subtle eyebrow in a realistic color can be a huge help. And again, it just makes it easier for us ladies. It means we don't have to worry about putting on so much paraphernalia in the morning. And for you guys, it just makes you look to be the best that you can possibly be. All right, so here's some of my quick, cheap tricks that I use here at my house. It sounds crazy, but those filters won't work with some of the older computers. You have to, in fact, let me see if I can go back. Oh, rats, I didn't catch that on my screen grab. Okay, so just below the, let me see, go back to annotate, Samantha. Oh, just down here. Below there, you can see it gives you the option to mirror your video, and I have a green screen. So if you don't have a green screen, go ahead and try against a plain wall and just tell the computer that you have a green screen. And a lot of times it will work just fine. It's looking for a solid background to work with. So go ahead and try that. If you have an older computer and it absolutely will not work without a green screen, then my quick and cheap and easy fix would be this green. It's a bright neon green tablecloth. You can find them at the dollar store. I found mine at Dollar General. And I just go ahead and use Command Adhesive or thumbtacks to pin it up on the wall behind me. So I'm gonna, let me see if I can do this. Yes, on my video, I am going to stop sharing my virtual background. So you can see.
And then,
Yes.
Sam, as you pull that up, there is a question about this in the chat, and Georgina is asking if there's a way to make the background clearer so that you don't disappear when you move around. What is the trick to that?
Good lighting and using a green screen are the best things that you can do to help with that funky jankiness that happens where parts of you disappear. A lot of times when you're using the virtual background with, yeah, see, and you don't have the green screen, or you're moving fast, or if what you're wearing matches the background, those are all contributing factors. It is still a reasonably new technology. And so my best tips would be to go ahead, and you don't have to invest in a $50 or $60 background in order, green screen background. Just take $1.50 and get one of these green tablecloths and use the Command adhesives or pins, and that helps a great deal. Lighting, as I mentioned before, is an issue. And let me see if I can switch screens here. I'm going to, there we go. Nope, that's all. There we go. Nope. Okay, so I have my window next to me open all the way. And aside from being very, very hot, it would also be this glare. Let me see if I can. Well, it's not too bad yet, but sometimes when I do Zoom calls, the sunlight is coming through here. It's so glaringly bright. So you want to soften it. Again, dollar store, cheapo, Walmart, these kind of misted, vaguely white shower curtains. You just get one of those, fold it up and keep it in, your desk with all the rest of your tech paraphernalia. And I use binder clips or clothespins to clip it onto around my window so that it's there, it's diffusing the light, and it's not too much. Again, it's all about the light. It's counterintuitive. You think if I keep in the shadows, I will look the best, but it really works best if you have the best lighting. So audio, people will forgive a lot of things. As far as your tech going crazy, or you can't share your screen, or your videos getting janky. But as soon as they have trouble hearing you, they tune out, and it takes a little while to pull them back in. So if you feel like your audio on your laptop isn't the best, and most times it isn't, so you want to go ahead and get a set of headphones that has a mic included. I'm assuming that we all aren't podcasters and we're not going to have a mic set up and headphones. And the ones that come with your iPhones have a mic included, and you can just have one side in your ear. There's a reason you see all these people doing their news interviews, and they have either their ear pods in or their earphones with the mic in. It's going to give you the clearest quality. The other thing is the audio settings, again, in that magical settings section in Zoom. You can automatically adjust your microphone, and you have the option to suppress background noise. You can obviously here I have it on high, as if I'm going to have somebody walking in today. Oddly enough, I'm not. But normally there could be somebody coming in here, or a fan going, or something that is going to distract. If you're in a quiet room, maybe you don't even need to have that on at all. The echo cancellation is another huge bonus. If you can see that towards the bottom, click that one, and it's going to help with that reverb that we all seem to catch every once in a while. Melissa was helping me deal with that issue before we got started on today's presentation. The other thing I will tell you is that a lot of times it's not necessarily your setup that is causing a problem with the echo. It is one of your participants. They've got their mic open, and you're hearing either from their speakers coming back through your speaker, or their headphones coming through on the mic. So it's a good rule of thumb. Just tell your students at the beginning, or tell your audience at the beginning of a presentation, keep it on mute. And then when you need to talk, press the space bar. The reason for this tip is you just press the space bar as long as you're talking, and then you let go of it and you're back in mute mode again. It's a good habit for us all to get into. That way we're not disrupting others speaking, and you're not going to accidentally leave your microphone on while you're yelling at your spouse or whatever. Let's see, is there something in the chat that I am missing? I just saw something flash on the screen.
It just came up, and a question about if it's a best practice to have your Zoom settings to be on mute upon entry.
I do, because just you might have something wonky where you're gonna hit people with the reverb, or some kind of squeaking. Sometimes when you plug in your headphones for the first time, they're going to do a crackle and a pop. Just go ahead and set it to mute upon entry. Again, if you get yourself in the habit of, I need to press the space bar when I'm talking in meetings, obviously, if you're presenting, you need to have your hands free. It really does make a huge difference. And like I said, you do that a couple of times and it becomes second nature to do. All right, so don't know if everyone is aware. Usually we see this first screen over here on your left with the basic, your whiteboard, your screens that you can share, if you have an iPad or an iPhone, you can share from those as a second screen. But my favorite option now is to use Slide as virtual background. It is in the advanced section over here, and you can click on that, and then it asks you which slideshow that you would like to use. And you go ahead and pick your PowerPoint, or in my case, a keynote, and it brings it up, and you become part of the show. So let me go ahead and there. Give me a second to play around with this, guys, and I will be able to show you what that looks like. Okay. Eventually, there we go. Here I am. And you can use this like a weather girl and be able to point to various items if this was a chart or a graph and say, okay, and here's this. Now you notice I lose my hand here, and that's because of the size of me. And you can click on yourself and make yourself larger so you take over the entire screen, or you can make yourself smaller or not. There we go. And you can also move yourself around the screen wherever you need to be. See, that's that whole mirroring thing again. So it's a fun little thing. A lot of people aren't using this, and I don't understand why. It is so fun. Um, it's a great little feature, and it keeps everyone on their toes. Don't feel bad, guys. You didn't really miss anything huge. It's was something they announced at Zoomtopia this year, which I can't remember. I think that was around July, and so it was still in the beta version. Go ahead and look under advanced. There's some great things hiding in there for you.
Sam, would you mind showing us one more time where that is? We do have a question in the chat about how you got there.
Sure thing.
Thank
Let me
you.
go back. No, Samantha. Stop sharing my screen and then go back and share my screen. So go under share your screen, and there's basic, and next to it, it says advance. So go to now you're seeing my whole thing. See, I'm not as good as I think I am, guys. Play slideshow. There we go. All right. Here's what I was trying to show you. When you go to share screen, you have your option with whiteboard, iPad, AirPlay, and your windows that you have open, and your desktop. And then when you click on advanced, that's when you have the option, annotating. That's when you have the option to use as a virtual slide, or the other one is portion of the screen. If you forget the command, like I was having trouble finding it, to play your PowerPoint, you can't find it. If you click on portion of the screen, then you can just pick out just the tiniest bit of the screen instead of showing your desktop, all your open windows, the photos you were looking at, the couch that you're thinking of buying, all of that stuff. Those are two powerful tools that I think everyone needs to be aware of. Everybody good? You know where to find it now? Okay, so my next trick, using your phone or a tablet as a second camera. This is a wonderful way to give yourself up those production values, create some interest, and make things a little bit easier on you. Now, I know it can be difficult when you're in a Zoom classroom to try and finagle these things out. So for that, I would suggest adding a tablet and logging in through the tablet as well as through the main computer in the room. And that will, uh, hmm, give me just a second here, guys. I'm going to have to stop with one. Let's do this. That will allow your participants. So let's say I had a whiteboard behind me, and this was, here, let me get out of the way. I could be here presenting to the whiteboard and then come back to the PowerPoint presentation on my laptop. For this, I definitely suggest, and I'm confusing myself and kind of getting a little queasy. If you're going to be using a phone or a tablet to show something, I know there have been a couple of professors who've gotten real creative and have gone outside the classroom and taken their students on virtual field trips. Keep in mind that through a camera, you need to go very slow, because otherwise you're getting everyone very sick. So either turn the camera off, bring it into focus what you're going to show, and then turn your camera back on again, or move very slowly. Otherwise you're giving everyone in the audience motion sickness, like I'm doing to myself right now. So you want to make sure that you have it fully charged or plugged in. This makes a huge, huge difference. You want to have all of those notifications muted. You want to have your volume off. Put it on airplane mode is an excellent fix for all of those sounds and beeps and whatnot going off. You want to have the volume turned off so that you don't have reverb from the second device. And turn your screen auto lock when your screen goes to sleep. Turn that off so that you can always access that second device. I also have I've set it up sometimes to have a 3-camera situation where I have my phone set up and it's looking at one thing. I have my iPad set up, and then I have my my laptop all set up. You can get as creative as you want with this, but it makes it a little bit easier and more engaging for your audience. So yes, 2 devices to create interest. There are applications out there. Epoch Cam, EPOC Cam is an app that you can download from your app store for Android or Apple. And that creates, lets you use your iPad or iPhone or your tablet or phone as like a dummy camera. And so then you can go down here to the video and you will see a second option that says Epoch Cam. And I thought I picked the correct photo for this slide, and I did not. So bad on me, but it will say HD camera, whatever your laptop camera is. And then below that, it would say Epoch Cam, and you can bring that up. Common pitfalls. You want to take charge of your video and audio. So immediately ask your participants to go ahead and be muted, and unless they're speaking, and if they are speaking, what do we know what to do now? Press the space bar. If they unmute themselves and then forget to mute themselves again, try to be aware of it, or have a delightful second person on your team that can go in and mute all the participants, just so that you're avoiding the feedback and you're not too much of a drain on Zoom. There are some bonus keystrokes that are easy to use in Zoom. And let me see if I have lost my mouse abilities. There we go. I'm going to put in the chat a PDF with all of the basic keystrokes that you can use in Zoom that are super quick and easy, and can make your life so much easier. Like F6 to move your Zoom pop-up windows around, and Control F for search. And I mean, there's just a whole bunch on here, and you can print that out, keep it with your computer, and it can make your Zooming experience that much easier. So hopefully I haven't confused the bejesus out of everyone today. The best thing you can do, especially if you're presenting, to your colleagues or at a conference or something, plan on a tech check. If it's the day before, if it's an hour or two before, you want to go ahead and take that time and make sure everything's working, that there hasn't been any updates. And I will give you a perfect example. I was planning on having the song Zippity Doo Dah playing when everyone came in today. Um, a really cool jazzy version, which I thought was going to sound so great. Unfortunately, Zoom has now added a new thing that you need to download a separate little piece to Zoom in order to play. It's a new audio add-on. And I didn't know that because I didn't test it. The last time I presented, it wasn't there. Working with the latest version of Zoom is going to avoid a whole lot of problems. So if you can set it to automatic updates, do that. Or when you log into Zoom, check under the settings and make sure that there isn't an update available for you. The best tip that I can give everyone is to get a clothespin chip clip. One of these, it's not going to hurt anything, so that you can clip your notes right up next to your camera. Now, on my camera, like most of them, there's a green light that says that the camera's on, and then there's the little camera dot. And right next to that, I have a photo of my kids. So I don't feel awkward talking because I have somebody I like that I'm looking at and I'm smiling at, and I don't feel like I'm performing for no one. It's all too easy when you're just staring at a green dot to kind of lose your focus and lose your energy. So a Post-it note that says smile or energy, or like I do, a little photo, my little photo of my kiddos, my little wallet size photo. And I just keep that posted right there next to my camera lens so that I remember to keep my eyes focused on you guys and not on everything else in the room. And it keeps me smiling. My final tip for you today, well, okay, there's two. One, try to be aware of your mannerisms. I am so guilty of this. When there isn't anyone in the room, we all lose that connection and that feeling of self-consciousness. So you forget, and you might, scratch your nose or play with your hair too much, and you want to be aware of that. So try to keep that in mind. Again, part of your tech check should be running through your presentation and recording it in Zoom so that you can see all these things and say, oh, I need to make this clearer, and oh, I'm touching my face too much. Those are all things that just are, again, not distracting and helps your audience stay engaged. And the last one is, if you are replying or using the chat, check twice, click once. It's just like in carpentry. You want to avoid the embarrassment of saying, oh my God, this speaker is putting me to sleep, and sending it to everyone in the chat instead of just your friend who's on the meeting too. I haven't done this yet, knock wood. And but you want to check twice and make sure that in the drop down menu that you're picking either the specific person and not sending it to everyone. Okay, I'm opening the floor now to any questions, and so that we can address your specific Zoom needs.
Sure. So Sam, I'll kind of go over the chat. Ed asked if you were speaking from a PowerPoint at one point, but I believe that was, Ed, I think that was about the keyboard shortcuts, which that's going to come in the form of a PDF. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that will be shared out with you so you can have a copy. And then Sam, you may know this, and I know Greg is on the call too, just in case. Is there a way for us to set for automatic updates in Zoom? I know that's been a back and forth with IT on this, so I'm not 100% sure.
I'll have to tell you, I remember at one point looking on my St. Leo laptop, and I couldn't find an option for that. And that might be because of IT. On my personal laptop, I have it set to do automatic updates. So Greg, you want to jump in and save me here?
Yeah, so it's not automatic. The part that they have automatic is the actual like security updates and things like that, which probably only happen every few months. But usually every couple weeks, there's a new update. And so I usually tell people at least once a week, just go in and click the button real fast. It only takes like 5 seconds, and just hit check update. And hopefully, you know, when there's a new update, you get the latest one.
Where's that button?
So when you opened up your screen, and it's probably on one of her slides, if you were to go down to, let's say if you were to go, let me actually try this real quick and make sure this is where you can do this from. Nope, can't do it there. So when you open up Zoom, not a Zoom meeting, but open up Zoom, you'll see your little person icon in the upper right hand corner. If you click that and scroll down about 3/4 of the way, there's a section that says check for updates, and you just click the check for updates, and it'll automatically tell you if you have one. And then it'll ask you, do you want to install it? And you go ahead and install it.
How do you practice on Zoom? Every time I go into a Zoom, it's because I'm getting ready to teach, not to make all these changes you just talked about.
Sure thing. Just go ahead and set up a second Zoom prior to when you're going to be teaching, and go ahead and hit record, and you can have the session download to the cloud, and then that would mean you would go in through the Zoom client and pull up your recordings, and you can take a look at what you did and watch the recording and download it. Or you can also set it to download it directly to your computer, so you don't even have to look for it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, and then let's see, we have,
Did everyone find the cheat sheet in the chat? No? Is it there?
Yep, it's there.
I
Thank
see
you.
it. Okay, perfect. And then we do have a question about direct messages in the chats and if they appear in the transcripts or not. I know that was a big conversation in the beginning with Zoom. So could you let us know a little bit about the transcripts that happen?
I believe that the transcripts that happen are only in the chat. They're downloaded to the owner of the Zoom call, and you can go ahead and share the chat out. There is a written transcript that goes along with your Zoom call, so they transcribe what you're saying. I don't think that everyone has the access to the chat now, because I've only ever seen my own chats. I don't know if the personal ones are just seen by me because I'm the one who instigated those personal chats, or all of them. So that's something I'm going to need to play with. I have to be honest. Greg?
Those are the only the public ones, or I guess ones for that meeting would be the ones that would be saved. So if you go, let me share this link with you. So if you go to your Zoom account, and it's under the recording tab, and this is where under cloud recording, there's a whole slew of settings that you can check to record. So a lot of different options for recording your Zooms, whether you want to record like just the active speaker, you want to do active speaker with screen sharing, you want to record your gallery view, and all of them are separate files. So when you go to share with your students, you could decide how you want to share. Do you want, the screen sharing on the left, and then the person talking is up in the upper right-hand corner, and then the transcript is over on the right. And then when they actually view it, they'll actually see all of that information. And then you can save a separate audio file if you want, a separate audio transcript if you want as well. So there's a lot of different options in the cloud recording, and that's why I always tell people, go there and just check it out and decide how you want your own settings to be when you go to record.
And then Sam, the screen that you just showed, I did want to point out, because Ed was asking about how to practice on Zoom, and that little blue button that's on the top, that where it says join. And if you do that, if you just click join from your Zoom page, it opens up a meeting and it will just be you in there. That's normally how I will practice is I go right into Zoom and then click join from the app or through Okta, either way. And then that way it opens up a meeting and I can record myself or I can try out some of these new features.
Yep. I do the same thing. I just use new meeting right here and just start a new meeting and that's my practice session.
Yeah, one of the things we also tell faculty is find a colleague, 1 or 2 colleagues, and set up a session with them. And then, you can kind of test out certain things with a couple of your colleagues as well.
Oh, everyone, we all think we know everything. And as Greg and Melissa can attest, I thought I was doing this wonderful job when I was demonstrating it at the faculty development day, sharing all of this wonderful information with everyone. And I had completely spaced and forgotten that you cannot share, when you screen share, you can't share settings. Those needed to be screenshots and put in later. And so I was going along at a great clip and Greg had to go, Samantha, whoa, time out. All we see is a blank screen. No. So it happens to all of us. There's always something new to learn, right, guys? Any other questions? Did I miss anything in the chat?
I think that's
you.
everything. And I know I've gone through and shared, done an entire recording and then realized at the end that my screen was sharing the wrong screen. So I'm right there with you. I'd recorded a wrong screen for about 45 minutes. So that wasn't great.
I have another question. I've been trying to figure out how to cut a recording and I've not been able to do it. So I've had to keep telling the class the class is starting at the 12:25 mark. That you don't need to listen to the first 12 minutes of this conversation I've had individually with some people, but I can't seem to get it to cut.
I know there's a way that I did it. It has something to do with the sharing. When you go into the recordings and you pull it up and you're looking at the recordings on the web, you can set the cursor, like to share from here to here. And that it will clip it to share it.
And then you hit the scissor, but it doesn't seem to hold it. Because then when I send it to everyone, they're still getting from the very beginning. And then I have to send them another note saying started at the 12:25 mark. If one of you can call me later and tell me how to do that or walk me through it, I'd appreciate it, because I feel like I'm sharing personal data with one student with the entire class.
Right.
I'm checking to see if I can if I can share my screen to show a recording with that, or Ed, if we can set up separately. So, but that's what we do as well, because we edit out the beginning and you should be able to move it over and then that's a different link to it. But now, are you talking about these being recorded in the course itself or in Zoom? So are you in D2L in Zoom or are you just in Zoom separately?
I'm in D2L and I'm getting ready to teach the class. And so I might start it 10 minutes before. Yep. But all of that's on there and I can't seem to figure out how to cut that. So when I start at 7:05, I have to tell them, well, don't, for the people that are going to look at the recording, I have to tell them, start at the 15-minute mark.
Ed, when you do the clipping, the scissor, do you drag it to the end of the recording or do you just clip it?
I just clip it.
You need to clip it and then drag it to the point that you want to copy, and that creates that section. So if you're trying to clip out the beginning, you use the scissor tool, and I put the instructions in the chat, and then drag the playhead arrows to the start and finish times, and that creates that clip. So you were this close to getting it right. You just needed to do that. It's that one extra step.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, Georgina, to go ahead and pause it until you're ready to start, but leave that menu open. Or again, that handy Post-it note, hey, stupid, turn the recording on. Post-it notes are my dearest friend. Any questions, guys?
One more, because I've noticed we've done this in these sessions, is that the students in the class know it's being recorded because students who aren't there are going to watch the recording. But are we supposed to put that note on here that says, that Melissa, that you did, it said this is being recorded, continue, click continue?
That's from Zoom.
Oh, I don't think they've ever, none of the students have ever said that pops up. And this is the only place it does that for me where it says, where it's continue. I don't think when I'm in a department meeting, there's something that says that I have to hit continue because it's going to be recorded. Maybe they're not recorded.
Yeah, whenever I've done it, the pop-up comes up, or if I'm entering a meeting that's being recorded, it will say, this session is being recorded. Do you wish to continue?
So should we have that open on all of our Zooms? Because I don't have that open when I looked at the list of that one sheet I think Greg just sent us.
So it should be right now, it's set, it's called a recording disclaimer. And so
Right.
if you go under your settings, it's automatically locked by the administrator. So this is by IT. And it automatically should, anytime anybody that's logged in through their St. Leo account in Zoom, and they hit record, anybody that's in there should automatically see that disclaimer pop up and hit continue before they can continue to stay on the Zoom. So that's set by default by IT.
Okay.
If somebody did it and you didn't see it in one of your meetings, they might not have been logged into the their St. Leo account, and then they hit record. But if they were logged into their St. Leo account, then it would have automatically triggered the disclaimer to show up.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because every once in a while you'll get a faculty member or a staff member or somebody that's signed into some other account in Zoom, and then if they do recordings, then they don't have to have the disclaimer on. So.
Okay.
Mhm. And Ed, you, just to let you know too, you don't see that pop up if you're the one who has set it to record, or if you're the one that presses the record button, you won't see it. So that's something to keep in mind too. So even asking your students, they should be seeing it because that is an automatic setting now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Well, Samantha, thank you, and professors, thank you so much for joining us. As always, I've really enjoyed this session, and hopefully it was helpful, and I look forward to sharing it out. And if you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or directly to Samantha, either way. And then I have added the quick less than a minute survey that we have at the end of these, just in case you want to leave us any feedback. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.